FTB, best fight the best. Deontay Wilder signs to fight a rematch against Louis King Kong Ortiz. Man, I got mixed feelings about this fight. Mixed feelings. And not what a dick rider and a hater would say. No. Is this the fight that I wanted right away next? No. Hell no. I wouldn't have minded a rematch sometime in the future. But was this the fight I wanted next? No. No, it isn't. Absolutely not. For a multitude of reasons. One, this was a difficult fucking fight, bro. This was a nerve-wracking fight for me. Shit. Round 7. Holy shit, man. I mean, I understand what Deontay is doing. You know what I'm saying? Removing all doubt. Same thing Lennox Lewis did. Lennox Lewis fought any fighter that beat him. He fought them again. Any fighter that was controversial, he fought them again. Except for Vitaly Klitschko. Vitaly was the only one that did catch that fade again. Because that was Lennox Lewis's last fight. But he's still the only one that didn't catch that fade again. Other than that, Lennox fought them all. Removed all controversies. Now, man, I knew this fight was going to happen eventually, but it's not the one I wanted next. If you go down the line, number 1, Dillian White. He won't fight Luis Ortiz, because if he would have fought Luis Ortiz, then he would have been the mandatory. He's fighting Oscar Rivas. So that fight's out the window. Number 2, Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury could have fought the rematch. Tyson Fury ducked the rematch. Tyson Fury is fighting Tom Schwarzenegger. So that fight's out the window. Number 3, Luis Ortiz. Number 4, Dominic Breazeale. He already beat him. So Deontay Wilder is fighting the number 3 ranked guy in the WBC. That's who he's fighting. The number 3 ranked guy in the WBC and the guy that gave him his toughest fight. I say this again. Tyson Fury did not give Deontay Wilder his toughest fight. Tyson Fury ran the entire fight. If it wasn't for Deontay Wilder pressing the action, there would have been no action in that fight. None. And Tyson Fury is a fucking superior boxer, bro. The best boxer in the division. He is the epitome of hit and don't get hit. Against Deontay Wilder, that's what he did the entire fight. Try not to get hit. That's what he did. Try not to get hit. Throw out some jabs, bang bang, and fucking run away. Try not to get hit. Didn't help. It didn't work for him, but that's what he tried to do. Wilder pressed that action. Man, Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. 2. Nerve-wracking, man. Absolute nerve-wracking. Absolute nerve-wracking. So Deontay Wilder is doing what people wanted him to do. In one respect. Oh, well, Dillian White is ranked number 1. You know, he should be fighting him. But Dillian White is about to fight somebody. Oh, well, it should be the next man up. The next man up. That's what Joshua did with Carlos Takam. It was the next man up. He was the next man. He was the next man in line. No, Anthony Joshua ducked Luis Ortiz. That's what he did. He ducked Luis Ortiz. Luis Ortiz was next man up. But in this scenario, Luis Ortiz is next man up for Deontay Wilder. Just go by the rankings. Number 1, Dillian White fighting Oscar Rivas. Number 2, Tyson Fury fighting Tom Schwarzenegger. Number 3, Luis Ortiz. He is fighting the 3rd ranked guy because number 1 and number 2 are fighting someone else. It is what it is, man. It is what it is. Now, which fights would you have preferred? Which ones? Which fights would you have preferred? The obvious is Anthony Joshua. That's the obvious. The obvious fight, Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. The obvious. Then you hear this clown saying, oh, well, I want to have a sit down and have a face-to-face. You want to have a sit down with a face-to-face. A sit down with a face-to-face. Really? And what makes anybody think we should believe this dude? What makes anybody think we should believe this dude? But well, because you said so? You said a whole bunch of shit, nigga. So because you said this, we should believe you. Well, you also said you're not interested in fighting Alexander Povetkin. You're not interested. You want Deontay Wilder. That's the only fight you're interested in. That's what you said. And then, as soon as Deontay Wilder agreed to your terms, you went and signed to fight Povetkin. You didn't even sign to fight Povetkin. You just said, oh, we're gonna fight Povetkin. WBA says, oh, you have an immediate effect. Sign to fight Povetkin with immediate effect, and then you sign to fight him 3 weeks later. Eddie Hearn comes out and says, oh, well, we could have made the Wilder fight, but Wilder was taking too long with the getting the contract signed. He was taking too long sending the contract back. Even though when he told you he'd have it back to you by Friday, on a Monday he told you this. Then on Tuesday you said you're fighting Povetkin. Just wow, man. Just wow. Just wow. Deontay Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. Would we have wanted a Deontay Wilder versus a Adam Kalnaki? Then you guys would have been like, oh, well, he's ducking Luis Ortiz. Adam Kalnaki's ranked so low. Why isn't he fighting Ortiz? Because Ortiz almost beat him. That's why. Ha ha ha. I mean, every fight with Deontay it's a lose-lose for him, and no matter what it is. Lose-lose no matter what it is. Dominic Breazeale. He fights Dominic Breazeale. Oh my God, I can't believe Deontay Wilder is fighting Dominic Breazeale. Why would he fight Dominic Breazeale? He should be fighting Anthony Joshua, or he should be fighting Dillian White. But Dominic Breazeale was his mandatory. Oh, well, Deontay Wilder doesn't even fight any mandatories. He never fights any mandatories. Never. He never fights mandatories. He's been a champion since 2015, and he's never fought his mandatory. Never. He doesn't fight any mandatories. It's like pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. So you don't fight no mandatories. You never fight mandatories. All you ever do is fight bums. You don't fight no mandatories ever. But then you fight Stavern. They don't even consider Stavern a mandatory. Oh, he's not a mandatory. He's not this. Doesn't matter what WBC says. It's not a mandatory. No, that was a rematch. That was you already fought him. Doesn't matter it doesn't matter if they claimed him as the mandatory. It doesn't matter. We don't claim him. We don't. We say he's a rematch and that's it. So we don't care. But he fights him. He's mandatory. Fights Dominic Breazeale. His mandatory. Oh, he doesn't fight no mandatory. Oh, Deontay Wilder doesn't fight no top 10 fighters. All he ever fights is bums. No top 10 fighters. He's never fought any top 10 fighters in his career. Never. He's never fought any. But Dominic Breazeale is number 4. Luis Ortiz is number 3. Number 3, Luis Ortiz is literally next man up. Literally next man up. Dillian White is fighting Oscar Rivas. Tyson Fury is fighting Tom Schwarzenegger. Number 1, Dillian White fighting Oscar Rivas. Number 2, Tyson Fury fighting Tom Schwarzenegger. Number 1, Dillian White could be fighting, should have been fought Luis Ortiz, and he would have been the mandatory. Number 2, Tyson Fury was supposed to fight Deontay Wilder in a rematch already instead of Dominic Breazeale. Tyson Fury ducked the rematch, and he is fighting Tom Schwarzenegger. That leaves number 3, Luis Ortiz. But Deontay Wilder doesn't fight no top 10 fighters. He doesn't fight any top 10 fight us. No top 10 fight us. I can't believe Deontay Wilder is not fighting any top 10 fight us. None. He's not fighting any top 10 fight us. I can't believe. So Tyson Fury isn't number 2. Dominic Breazeale isn't number 4. Bermane Stiverne wasn't number 1, which he was. And then instead of just giving the man fucking credit for fighting a number 1 ranked mandatory, you just say, oh yeah, but how did he get there? How did he get there? How did he get there? Do you really think that Stiverne should have been the number 1 mandatory? Do you really think that? You guys are pathetic. You're fucking pathetic. Absolutely fucking pathetic. Pathetic. Now, would I have loved for the next fight for both Wilder and Joshua to be each other? Yes, I would have. Yes, I would have. Would have absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. But why didn't Anthony Joshua make it happen? Why? He knew the price that Deontay Wilder wanted since June 27th of last year. We are in June, damn near in June right now. So he knew for almost a fucking year. Almost a year he knew what the price was to make the fight. For almost a year. But nobody wants to talk about that. This nigga wants that, oh, well, let's have a sit down and have a face-to-face. Let's do this. Let's have a sit down and a face-to-face. Sit down. A sit down and a face-to-face. You are about to fight Andy Ruiz in a few days. You're about to fight Andy Ruiz in a few days. But you want to have a sit down and a face-to-face with Deontay Wilder. You're in America. Why didn't you do this after the Tyson Fury fight? You've been in America. You've been in America. Why didn't you have a sit down and a face-to-face? You're in Miami. You don't work out. You don't have your training every fucking day. In training, you don't. You're in America. You save the jet lag shit, nigga. Save it. Oh, well, I can't because I'm in training. Get the fuck out of here, man. How many times have we seen multiple fighters in training camp leave their training camp on their off day? On their off day. Tyson Fury did it. Deontay Wilder has done it. Many fighters on their off day leave their training camp on their off day to do certain things. Why couldn't Anthony Joshua left his training camp on his off day and just linked up with Deontay? Why? Why couldn't Anthony Joshua on his off day accepted Deontay Wilder's FaceTime request? Deontay Wilder even said yesterday he tried to FaceTime this nigga. Tried to FaceTime him many times. Then the man, instead of it just being them two FaceTiming, he brings other motherfuckers into the FaceTime. But now all of a sudden you want to sit down face to face. Now get the fuck out of here, dude. Get the fuck out of here. You're a fucking liar. You don't want this fight. You want a clout chase to build your fights. That's what you've always done. That's what you've always done. This is nothing new. Clown. Fucking clown. Absolute clown. So Deontay Wilder is fighting the number 3 ranked fighter in the WBC and the next man up. That's what he's doing. He's fighting the number 3 ranked fighter and the next man up. That is who he's fighting. The number 1 is tied up. The number 2 is tied up. He's fighting the number 3. That's what he's doing. He's fighting the number 3 in a rematch. He's fighting the number 3, the toughest fight he had. That's what he's doing. He's fighting the number 3. This is the toughest fight he had. And he's fighting him again. Where was all of this? Where was all of this talk when Anthony Joshua was set to fight Vladimir Klitschko in a rematch in Vegas? Where was all this talk? They were actively and aggressively seeking out a rematch with Vladimir Klitschko. Where was all of this talk? Where was all of these people saying, oh, well, it's not the fight I want. I want this fight. I want that fight. I want this fight instead. I want that fight instead. Where was everybody saying, no, Big Josh. No, you already beat Vladimir Klitschko. No rematch. No rematch. No, Big Josh. No. No rematch. Go fight Deontay Wilder. Fight Deontay Wilder next. No rematch. Don't rematch Vladimir Klitschko. Fight Deontay Wilder. Where was that conversation? I don't remember it. Don't remember it all. The rematch was solely based on what Vladimir Klitschko wanted. And they wanted the rematch too. Joshua's team wanted the rematch. Although they beat him, they wanted the rematch. And no one said a word. No one blinked an eye. But when it comes to Deontay Wilder and Luis Ortiz, then all of a sudden it's, he's ducking Joshua by fighting the number 3 ranked guy, the next man up. In a fight where, people were saying, oh, if it wasn't for the referee in round 7, Deontay Wilder would have got stopped. If it wasn't for the New York State Athletic Commission giving Deontay Wilder, a 5-minute break. If he wasn't giving Deontay Wilder a 5-minute break, Luis Ortiz would have stopped him. Luis Ortiz would have knocked him out if it wasn't for giving him a 5-minute break. Deontay Wilder was hurt. He was out on his feet. The referee should have stopped it. The referee could have stopped it. Yada, yada, yada. So now Deontay Wilder is like, all controversial fights will be cleared up ASAP. All of a sudden now it's, I didn't want this fight. He's ducking Joshua. Joshua wanted to sit down face to face. He wanted a face-to-face meeting. I can't believe Deontay Wilder is ducking a face-to-face meeting. I can't believe it. A face-to-face meeting after a year. After a year. In the biggest fight in boxing, when they could have got Deontay Wilder for $15 million flat. Flat. For $15 million flat. They could have got a Safeway Select version of Deontay Wilder. That's what they could have got him. They could have got the motherfucking generic brand. The Safeway Select. That's what they could have got. But now you're going to pay full price. Now, when Deontay Wilder said 50-50 on June 27th, again, Deontay Wilder on June 25th said you will have this contract back by June 29th, which was Friday. That was Friday. June 26th, the day after Deontay Wilder said you'll have this contract back by the end of the week, Team Joshua signs to fight Povetkin. June 27th, the day after that, Deontay Wilder says Fuck this. I'm glad I'm done with this bullshit. They pulled my chain for all this long. Now it's motherfucking 50-50. There was no, oh, well, let's sit down and have a face-to-face. There was none of that. There was, oh, well, you said you'll fight for 15 million flat. That's what you said. So where's your pen? Sign the contract. Sign what you agreed to. Sign what you agreed to. They just changed the narrative. They were talking about the money he agreed to, the purse, not the contract. Because the contract, again, 15 million flat, 2-fight deal, first fight in UK, the second fight in the US, in their next fights. That was the deal. But, oh, no. He's going to get his mandatory. You want to get Joshua stripped. You want to get him stripped. He has to fight the WBA and WBO mandatory in Povetkin. If he doesn't fight Povetkin, he's going to get stripped. You're a fucking liar. You're a liar. You're an absolute fucking liar. Now, again, is Luis Ortiz the fight that I want next? I gave you the reasons why it isn't. That was a dangerous fucking fight for Deontay Wilder. Absolutely fucking dangerous. Don't nobody else want to fight this man. They talk a whole bunch of shit. All they do is talk shit. Oh, don't mention Ortiz now. Did you see the Christian Hammer fight? Don't mention Ortiz to fighting Anthony Joshua or Dillian White. Don't mention it. Instead of saying, oh shit, he looked bad in Christian Hammer fight. He looked bad. Dillian White, jump on that now. He looked bad, Dillian White. So jump on that now, beat him, and become the only mandatory to Deontay Wilder because he looked bad. So jump on that. Instead of saying that, you say, oh, don't bring up Ortiz no more. Don't bring up Ortiz no more. We don't need to fight Ortiz because he looked bad. He looked bad against Christian Hammer, so we don't need to fight him because he looked bad. So don't bring him up no more. The most pathetic bullshit I've ever seen in my fucking life. Absolutely pathetic. Oh, Joshua offered Ortiz $7 million and he ducked Joshua. Was the $7 million what he wanted? Was $7 million what Ortiz wanted? To my knowledge, he wanted $10 million, to my knowledge. That was to my knowledge. He wanted $10 million. That's to my knowledge. And they weren't willing to give him what he wanted. So how was that a duck? That's like saying, oh, well, Ortiz ducked Dillian White because Dillian White wasn't willing to pay him the money that he asked for. Or Ortiz ducked Dillian White because the WBC mandated it and Dillian White wasn't going to make the amount of money he wanted to make, so Dillian White's not fighting. But that means Ortiz ducked him. That's the type of bullshit you motherfucking weirdos is on. When Dillian White beating Ortiz would have made Dillian White the only mandatory. But he decided not to. So now, let's clear something up. Because you guys is weird as fuck. Let's clear something up. Dillian White is fighting Oscar Rivas in a fight that nobody asked for, that he went out and did himself. Tyson Fury is fighting Tom Schwartz in a fight that nobody asked for, that he went out and did himself. Both of those guys had the opportunity to fight Deontay Wilder, and both of them turned it down. So now they have their upcoming fights coming up. And then, in order for them to fight Deontay Wilder, they were mandated to fight each other, which means they have another fight coming up. So that means Deontay Wilder is going to fight Luis Ortiz, who was number 3. And then he's going to fight someone else after that. He's going to fight someone else. Possibly Adam Kalnaki. Possibly. Because Anthony Joshua still ain't going to be trying to do 50-50. He's still going to be like, oh, well, let's sit down and talk about this. Let's just sit down and talk. Listen, this is the most public negotiations in the world. Everybody knows the details. Just agree to 50-50. Just agree. Or else Deontay Wilder will be fighting Adam Kalnaki next, and then he'll be fighting the winner of Tyson Fury versus Dillian White. That's who he'll be fighting next. Adam Kalnaki and the winner of Tyson Fury versus Dillian White. That's who he'll be fighting. If Anthony Joshua wants Deontay Wilder like he claims he does, which I don't believe, if he does want Deontay Wilder like he claims he does, then Anthony Joshua will be after his Ruiz, he will be saying 50-50. Let's make it happen. That's what he will be saying. 50-50, let's make it happen. Or else, what will be happening is Deontay Wilder will be fighting Adam Kalnaki, and then he'll be fighting the winner of Dillian White, Tyson Fury. I don't know who the fuck Anthony Joshua will be fighting. Probably Pulev. That's who he'll be fighting. Probably Pulev. Or Hughie Fury. Or someone like that. And I think Hughie Fury will give him all he can handle. He'll eventually get beaten, but I think he'll give him all he can handle. There's Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is going to be fighting Kubrat Pulev or Hughie Fury. Deontay Wilder is going to be fighting Luis Ortiz, Adam Kalnaki, and then the winner of Tyson Fury, Dillian White. Because Tyson Fury and Dillian White still must fight each other for one of them to become the mandatory. So what is Deontay Wilder supposed to do? Just sit around and wait? Anthony Joshua knows the price. 50-50. He knows it. He could have had this fight. He knew it for over almost a year now. He knew it for almost a year. Since June 27th, he knew this was a 50-50 fight. He knew that's what Deontay Wilder wanted. 50-50 split. Oh no, just sign the contract you already agreed to, even though the contract you already agreed to is now different. Because it's not the next fight. So just sign that for next year. No, it ain't the same contract. Okay, well, we'll give you $20 million, and then we'll give you $5 million to fight Dillian White or anybody else you want to fight. We'll give you $5 million to fight Dillian White or anybody else, and then we'll give you $20 million to fight Joshua. No! 50-50. Okay, well, we want to fight Deontay Wilder on April 13th, and we need to get a deal done before December 1st, even though he's fighting on December 1st. We need to get a deal done before then. If he doesn't get a deal done by December 1st, then he doesn't want this fight. He doesn't want us, even though he's fighting on December 1st. Okay, well, then after that, we're willing to give him 40%. We'll give him 40%. We're willing. No! 50-50. Fuck your 40. You had that opportunity to do that damn near over a year ago. You turned it down. Matter of fact, over 2 years ago, you turned it down. Now it's 50-50. What are you not understanding? What are you not getting? What? 50-50. Fuck your $20 million with your $5 million to fight anybody else. 50-50. Fuck your 40%. 50-50. Oh, well, DAZN offers $120 million for 4 fights. Okay. What is Joshua getting? Is it $120 million? Because if it ain't, fuck you. 50-50. It's just that simple. If you don't like it, so what? Move on with your life if you don't like it. Move on. Move on with your life because Deontay Wilder has. Oh, he's denying Anthony Joshua undisputed. He's denying him. Are you fucking serious? How are you denying someone something when that someone knows the price to get it? How? How? Oh, because Deontay Wilder isn't worth 50-50. Well, that's your opinion. That's your opinion on what that man's worth. But there is a price on that fight. Your opinion on what he's worth is your opinion. And your opinion don't mean shit to me. And it don't mean shit to Deontay either. This fag nigga Joshua knows the price. He's not being denied nothing. Now he can agree to 50-50 and there won't be no Adam Kalnaki fight. Or he can keep crying like a bitch and the fight will happen in 2020 like he always said. The fight will happen in 2020 like Joshua said in 2017. The fight will happen at the end of the year 2020, the same time, around the same time that potentially a Keith Thurman, Errol Spence, or a Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford fight. The end of the year 2020. Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua will happen around the same time. The end of the year 2020. And they might move it back to 2021. Start saying, oh, well, we can't compete. Eddie Hearn lying ass. Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford is a pay-per-view fight happening at the end of the year, and we can't compete with that. So we'll move it back to 2021. We'll do that because that's what he did with the Canelo Golovkin fight. Oh, we don't want to compete with their pay-per-view, so we'll move it back. We'll do it in February. The following year. You're full of shit. You're full of shit. Now, Deontay Wilder's career is not on pause. Fuck y'all. It is Luis Ortiz, then it's more than likely going to be Adam Kalnaki, and then it's more than likely going to be the winner of Dillian Whyte, Tyson Fury. There you go. There you go. Now, what they can do, Anthony Joshua can remove Adam Kalnaki from that by saying, I agree to 50-50. Done deal. Done deal. I agree to 50-50, and now we have our fight. There is no Adam Kalnaki. There's undisputed. Point blank and period. Because if he's talking all this other shit, it ain't going to happen. Deontay Wilder is moving on in his life. He's moving on in his career. If you want to be a part of that, if you want to get on that train, it's 50-50. If you don't, keep crying like a bitch about whatever you want to talk about and keep fighting. Go fight Huey Fury. Go fight Kubrat Pulev and go fight Huey Fury. Because Tyson Fury, Dillian Whyte are tied up. Tyson Fury will then be tied up with Deontay Wilder. Adam Kalnaki, you ain't fighting him either. He's going to be tied up with Deontay Wilder. Luis Ortiz, you're not fighting him. He's going to be tied up with Deontay Wilder. All the big names are tied up or tied to Deontay Wilder. All of them. So who is Joshua going to fight? Who? BFTB. Shout out to the LDBC. And I'm out.